now this is, as Dad says.
Welcome to first grade,
Yeah.
brother.
Well,
Here we go. You ready to go? Let's strap ourselves in.
Welcome back to the podcast for this week. Bit of a different one today. This one today, Australian designer Daniel Patrick, been living over in LA, big brand Daniel Patrick over there, coming back to Australia, growing it here as well, but loves his rugby league. So he's a great fit for this podcast.
Yes, thanks for having me, guys.
Rooster supporter?
I try to stay impartial, but yeah, I mean, I grew up following the Roosters, and then when I actually played Jersey Flegg, and then when I got cut from the Roosters, I went to the Dragons, so then I stayed with the Dragons. So
bad blood.
Yeah.
But
now we're good now. We're like, yeah.
Anyone in that Jersey Flegg that played first grade now?
In the Roosters team, who do we have? In the Dragons team, yes. The Roosters team, we had, Justin Horro was in there.
Oh, Scobie.
Yeah. And then Sean Kenny Dow.
Oh, yeah, SKD. Shandorell? Was Shandor there?
Nah, he wasn't. Oh. Yeah. I remember him, though, at Clovelly, because I was playing at Clovelly, and he was a lot younger, but yeah.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's a rugby league link. A lot of people who listen to this are rugby league fanatics, and they will know your father, the great Pat Jarvis.
Yes, indeed.
Terrific. Yeah. What a player he was. What a body, by the way. It's unbelievable. I saw him not long ago. He's still like chiseled out of rock. But what a gentleman. What a great guy.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. No. Growing up with him teaches you a lot of things about hard work, and you see, you do it from observation, but he always kind of instills in you about, hard work, exchange, and all that kind of stuff, and helping people. And yeah,
there's a lot of things when I always think of Pat, I always think about like that relentless self-improvement. Yeah. I remember when Pat first came into first grade. Am I right in saying he had a stutter? He stuttered and then went and got help with it, and then and just continually things I hear about Pat all the time. It's just about self-improvement. Of course, Australia's greatest boxer, Jeff Fenwick. Your dad, he discovered Jeff on the streets of Marrickville and took him to Johnny Lewis's gym in Newtown.
Oh, really?
And the rest is history. Yeah, he's had a really big impact on this city, Pat Jarvis.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I actually would go down there as a kid and jump on the pads with Johnny Lewis.
Yeah, right.
And then last week, my cousin Brock, he had 2 weeks ago, but
Brock, yeah, Brock Jarvis.
Yeah, so he had a fight against Keith Thurman, and we went down to that, and Johnny Lewis was there, and Jeff Fenwick was there, and my dad came along.
Yeah,
and he kind of hadn't seen them for a long time, so he got to connect with them. But yeah, Johnny Lewis has actually come over to my store in LA, and he's tried to stay in.
You want to be careful. Johnny loves free stuff. Do you know what I did with Johnny one day? He was walking through Enmore in Newtown there, and I saw him coming from a distance, and I know what a tight ass he is, Johnny. So I laid on the ground, and sort of covered up like I was begging, and I went, "Oh, sir, money," and he went, "No, mate, no, I'm not going to do that. It's not good. No, it's not good for you." And I went, "Mr. Lewis, Johnny Lewis, money," and he turned around and goes, "No, mate, no." And he spotted me. I said, "You fucking tight ass, Johnny. You want to give it to the homeless, mate."
Well, even the NRL last year when it first went to Vegas, you designed the tracksuits for it as well?
Yeah, we did a collab with them, and that was sold in stadium.
Okay. Yeah. How'd you enjoy, I suppose being in America, you probably would have been disconnected from Aussie culture for a while. How was it reconnecting with all the Aussies back over in Vegas?
Well, it felt good, It felt like it's something that I grew up with, with my dad, and then, you play lower grades and you're just always in it. And then even going over there, I have the subscription to the Fox League, and I would watch, NRL 360,
not the Matty John show.
No, I would watch that as well. That would be kind of refreshing, that when it hits, because that would come on Thursday. So Thursday morning I would watch that, and it'd just be kind of refreshing from listening to all the arguments of 360 all week. And
they can argue.
And there's a lot of things we want to cover off here, Dan, your career we're about to get into, but starting a brand, but also I'll be interested in talking to you about living in LA.
Yeah.
Of course, recently, coming out of COVID and then the fires. So we'll have to chat about that. But the brand, my God, with Justin Bieber, Travis Kelce, geez, you're making some serious ground.
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely helps going over there and and doing it over there and launching it over there has helped a lot, making all our stuff in LA. And then you're just in the epicenter of where everything's happening. And that's kind of the thing that was successful for me going over there and getting out of Australia and just just finding my feet over there. I think that was a good move for me.
So going back, like you just said, you got cut from Jersey Flegg. When did fashion become like the passion? Like, were you doing that while you were playing footy in Jersey Flegg and things like that, or did it just click after that?
So I got 2006. I was playing Jersey Flegg at the Dragons, and then prior to that, I was always into fashion. I would always be like into what I was wearing, and from a young age. And then I kind of come to the end of 2006, and then I was like injured and kind of had enough of the injuries and whatnot, and I was a little bit disillusioned with playing footy. And then I was kind of thinking, what do I like doing in my life that I could do forever? And fashion took forefront then, and I kind of gave up. And Tony Butterfield was my manager at the time, and he was kind of brokering a deal for me to go to France. Mm-hmm. So I kind of went through the motions on that, started doing the visa, but I'm like, I'm not really, my heart's not in it. I kind of want to do this fashion thing. And I went straight out of Jersey Flegg and into fashion school in Glebe, and then just kept going from there.
Tony Butterfield, you just said you're player manager. Was Tony Butterfield? Is that the guy that you guys did a prank on, pretending to be a young player?
Yeah, we pretend to be an English player, and we had the prank going for over 12 months. They were having backwards and forwards, and this player in England was basically we were sending myself and Brian Carney were sending the emails, and we're doing spelling mistakes. And then, Butsy was like, mate, I think I found your club. And I said, there's been an incident over here. He goes, right, what's happened? I got into a fight. Okay, we should be able to manage that. But the bloke I fought lost his right arm. He goes, right, how did that happen? I was carrying a knife in my pocket, and accidentally ran in and cut it off. He goes, Jesus, must have been some kind of knife. Anyway, we ended up giving ourselves up. But terrific fella. 2020 management. That was his business.
Yeah.
Yes.
Still going?
No. I don't think so anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anymore. But he was good. I actually never met him in person. My dad lined it up, and he liked him and thought it would be a good fit for me. And
so he was your manager, but you never dealt with him in person?
Well, I think he was up in Newcastle.
Yeah,
it would just be on the phone, And then I just rang him up one day and said, look, I don't want to keep going in footy. I just want to go and do the fashion thing, So it was kind of early. I could have kept going, went to France, tried to come back and whatnot, but I was just like, I think this is what I want to do, And in hindsight, maybe you look back and you go, man, I missed the opportunity to give it a shot. And then because I could have done fashion after that or concurrently, but you live by your choices.
Yeah, but Dan, for what you do now, it takes so much focus and so much energy. Talking about energy and fearlessness, that is something which diminishes as you get older. The fact that you jump into it young, I think for you is crucial. And as far as rugby league's concerned, it's so easy to bump from here to here to here. But, I think sometimes you got to work out, what am I a chance of being the best at?
Yeah.
And start a new life.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd always wanted to live in America. And then when fashion came around, I was like, this is the opportunity to go over there. Originally, I was going to New York, and that even, as a teenager, I'm like, I want to live in New York. That's where I'm going. And then went to New York and ended up in LA. And so
did you start your brand here and then move to America, or you moved to America and then the brand started there?
So I did a few things here, and then I went over there and basically launched it over there. Yeah.
And if there's listeners who are listening to this who, a lot of people are always sitting with their mates saying, we should start a clothing brand, we should start a cafe, any business. Do you think that America is the best place to start any business, given how big the market is? Is that?
Well, you could either be, I guess, a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond. You just have to pick, which hard you want to take, because they're going to have pros and cons. Like being in a small market, you have to gain more traction to have a business. But if you go over there and you get like a 1% stake in that market, you're pretty set.
Yeah.
But Dan, what about talking about cultures of cities in America? We're talking before about San Francisco. San Francisco to me looks like a pretty genuine town, whereas LA's it's a chancer town in a lot of ways. You get people from all over the world, different places, arriving, trying to be a movie star, trying to be stuff. And talking to people who try to do business there or try to get ahead there, they said you almost get murdered by flattery. People, doesn't matter what you say, people will say to you, wow, that is amazing. Yeah. I mean, I ordered eggs on toast over there and the woman said, that is amazing. And I thought to myself, you should see what else I can do. Honestly, but do you find that over there? Like the people, it's just hard to really get a gauge exactly what people think?
I think there is definitely a facade of LA and there's a fakeness to it, you know. But you definitely just have to stay grounded and you just surround yourself with the right people.
Yep.
Which, over the years, you kind of have to keep your circle really small.
Yep.
Otherwise, you know, a lot of people go by the wayside and, you know, go home packing. Yeah.
So the rag trade, working in fashion.
Yeah.
What was the first thing? Like, what was your first idea? What was the first product you produced?
I mean, I produced this leather like trench coat thing, and that was kind of there was a bit of a dark and drapey side of things that I was doing back when I first started, and at that point we got our stuff into the Hunger Games because we caught the attention of the costume designer. And its funny thing was I was watching a movie, what is it, the girl with the dragon tattoo?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I really like the way that the girl's done this costumes, you know. And then I looked her up, and and then I was like, yeah, I'd like to work with her. And then comes out, she reaches out to me, hey, we love your stuff. We want you to make some stuff for the Hunger Games. And I'm like, oh, sweet, you know, this is exactly what I wanted. You know? Yeah.
So what did you design for that? Like what costumes were in that?
We did some like button up like Henley shirts and some leather coats and stuff like that. And
and what, like, when you're looking back in your career now, what was the turning point in it where you go, that was the moment that the brand really took off?
There's kind of like a lot of those, and they're kind of gradual over the years, you know, because even to this point, we're still trying to get to the next level, you know, and at some point you're always doing that. So when that thing comes, you don't really sit and think about it. But, you know, there was a point where I had a friend of mine who was buying my stuff, and, you know, he paid me a couple grand, bought a couple grand worth of clothes, just paying rent. And I felt to myself, I was driving in LA and I was like, I'm out of the 9-to-5 grind. I have my business, but that seems like such an insignificant moment. But that was like when I had a feeling like, okay, cool, we got a business here. And then, you know, we got in one store and then they would sell out, and okay, cool, we got a business here. And then, you know, we're able to pay rent, we're able to make stuff. And then you get someone like Justin Bieber wears the stuff. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Get him some more stuff, keeps wearing it, more stuff. And then I had a guy working for me at the time. He was heavy on the WeChat, which is big in China. So then he blew up the Daniel Patrick brand in China, and then they started making fakes of that on the back of the Justin Bieber stuff. And then, you know, you go through a lot of stuff. Then we started posting his photos, and then the paparazzi owned the photos. So then the paparazzis want to go and sue me for 250 grand. And I'm like, shit, I don't have 250 grand. Like, you know, yeah, like even celebrities, if you post a picture of yourself in the photo, it's like, well, that's me in the photo, but I'm like, well, you don't own the photo. So then even they're suing Selena Gomez and, you know, Justin Bieber. Yeah. So,
yeah. Can I ask you there, you said making fakes in China. Are fakes good for business? I know short term, like, you know, I do like conventional thinking.
I thought it was cool.
Money, it's like money taken out of your hand, but it's still advertisement.
It's a compliment, right?
Yeah, because I was making hats with this guy in LA, and he went over to China for like a tour to make, you know, to get hats and whatnot. And he's like, we saw, you know, Daniel Patrick hats next to like LV and Gucci and whatnot, and we didn't know you were that big. And I said, I didn't know I was that big.
Oh, yeah. What does it feel like? Or what did Justin Bieber? What did he wear?
He wore a lot of different things, but there was these particular track pants and these like gym shorts that we still sell to this day. But yeah, those were like he would wear every color of those. And
So that just happened by he just rolled into a store and bought it. And then
that didn't happen like that. That was through Well, I was friends with his hairstylist at the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you want to get some stuff to Justin, I can get it to him. And okay, cool. So I put a bag together and he puts it in his wardrobe and then he wears it, and then they don't always wear stuff that they're given. So then he wears it. So then I worked out how to get more stuff to him. And So
just give an idea of the impact that has. If, for instance, you sell, let's say 2,000 items in a week, Justin Bieber wears it the next week. How quickly, what's the spike in sales?
I don't know the percentage of spike particularly, but that definitely blew us up in China, and that's a big market. It obviously helped in the States as well, and also over here too. People took notice at that point as well, because Justin Bieber was kind of universally known. So he was probably the biggest one that propelled the brand forward. And then, from there, we got a deal with Adidas after that. So we worked with them for 6 years. And my first project with them was designing a shoe and a clothing line for James Harden for the 2020 All-Star game.
Yeah. And at that time, James Harden was was he just coming off the back of an MVP year as well?
I don't know what year that was, but we met with him in Salt Lake City. So we all flew in from Oregon. That's where Adidas is. And we flew in from LA, and they were playing Utah Jazz. So we met in the hotel room, and he was on the massage table getting worked on. And then we'd have a big screen up on there working on different ideas and whatnot.
Yeah. Those big stars, when you meet with James Harden, and even having someone like Justin Bieber wearing your stuff, because in Australia, for Australians listening, you look at these massive American celebrities and you go, they almost seem fake, because in our lifetime, it's we'll never cross paths with these people. They're so big. Australia doesn't really have the same kind of celebrities.
Hey,
Sorry,
hang on, guys.
Sorry, Big Ab.
Hang on, guys. People pinch me all the time to see if I'm real.
They think you're a ghost.
I'm a ghost, yeah.
But what was it like when you walk in and you're talking to James Harden as a bloke growing up in Australia and going over there for work? Is that surreal?
It's a bit daunting, to be honest, because like you said, they do have this extra large persona, but at the end of the day, everyone are people are just regular people when you come down to it. So, but he was nice. We worked together on we sat there, and the people from Adidas were like, "Oh, I've never really seen him that excited and animated in the meeting. Usually, he just doesn't really care, This was back then, so I was like, oh, that's good news. And then all the stuff I was wearing, he's like, we should do something like that, and because I was wearing bomber jacket and these, sweatpants and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, I really liked it. And I was like, okay, cool. We can do something like that,
A couple of things I want to ask you there. Firstly, how did Adidas, what made them reach out, and what were the circumstances?
There was a person that was working there that was kind of looking for us. And then we had a connection through a stylist. And then, so I think at that time, Nike had somebody that was that was doing something similar, like John Elliott, and they kind of wanted a John Elliott for Adidas. So
and when collaborations like that come up, like Adidas, what are some other ones? Because I believe, is it recently you've done New York Red Bulls as well?
So that was with Adidas too. That was part of my contract, because MLS, Major League Soccer, they make Adidas makes all the kits for that.
Right.
Interesting. Well, what an amazing resurgence, by the way, in Adidas. And I want to ask you, what did you learn from Adidas? To start out this mega brand, they went broke at one point. Then a Frenchman bought him, Bernard Tapie, who owned Marseille. Then he built it up, and he was one that got it away from the Dassler family. And I don't know who takes control of it and owns it now, but it's bigger now than it has ever been. They have flooded the market with their streetwear and their originals. It's incredible to watch the exponential growth. Yourself, what have you learned from Adidas dealing with those guys? What
did I learn? I mean, I feel like I wish I could do that, go back now and do it at this age, because you go in there, I was still, I'm not saying I was young then, but I feel like at this point in my life, I'm more mature now to open my eyes and actually, I feel like I know more. But maybe that's because I went through working with them. I understand how how the big machine works. It's a big beast, and you have to find your people within there that can fight for you, and that's what we did. We had people in there that were fighting for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they're gone, then you don't really have anyone kind of, putting you forward for projects and whatnot. So then at that point, that's when we kind of,
of course, they had obviously Kanye, right? Underneath their
that went well.
It went well for a long time. The Yeezy brand. Because is he trying to still do a clothing brand?
Yeah, he's still doing his Yeezy line. I think they're still doing like $2 million a day in sales. I don't know.
Wow.
I saw something like that. So his model now is they sell everything for $20.
Oh, Kanye does?
Yeah, if you go on his website, everything's $20.
And then resale, I
don't know about resale.
Huge.
But yeah, but he's I don't know, what I see is he's trying to kind of break down this whole thing of luxury and saying like, look, I can sell this for $20.
A lot of brands do like they'll do a limited drop where they advertise, there's only 1,000 in stock, get in early, and it sells out in like minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think, if for someone who was going to start a clothing brand, what do you think is the best starts of models? Like, what's the best models where you just have a range that's always accessible, or whether you do that limited time people can get in?
I think there's something to be said of the limited drop and selling out, but at the same time, if you want to be selling stuff all the time, it's like if you want to go to Uniqlo and grab a T-shirt, you can do that. It's not like, well, they're all sold out this week, I can't go there until the next drop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You have to find a balance. But you also have to do what you think's right too. I think I like to have products that people can wear every day as well, like not just the fashion stuff. So it's like, I got a T-shirt that I can sell all year round that everyone's going to buy, and I kind of like to have the basics that people need for life.
Because you see those hype drops where you go, look, tomorrow at midnight it's dropping, and it's only available in a lot of 1,000. That it's a great marketing tool, right? Like, because it's word of mouth. Everyone's like, you got to get in and get this because there's not many left.
It creates the urgency, and then if you get it, no one else has it, then that's kind of
It must be
scarcity.
It must be tough to a certain extent, because fashion these days has become across cultures and occupation, which I'll get in a second, but it's been quite homogenized. Back in the day, if you wanted to get, you walked into a surf store, it was surfwear.
Yeah.
You went into a skatewear, but now it's almost melted into each other.
Yeah, luxury's doing streetwear. They do skate, they do athletic. It's all, which I kind of like. I think, but that's kind of where the world is going. You go down to Bondi or Paddington, everyone's wearing athleisure.
Yep.
That's kind of, you don't see as many suits and that. No, yeah.
Predicting where fashion is going. Once we talked about surfwear. It was longboard shorts, and all of a sudden for shorts, it went to shortboard shorts, and we got baggy.
Oh,
sorry,
who's ringing?
I should have known better.
Who's ringing?
Yeah, you don't want to know. And
the Prime Minister.
Yeah, Prime Minister.
Right,
Mate, honestly, listen, you just can we redo the budget?
Elbow, please. Leave me alone.
Give us more for the stadiums.
Yeah, that's right. You got it. I forgot what I was going to say there.
Predicting where fashion's going to go.
Predicting where it's going to go. Yeah, you see skinny jeans and all of a sudden loose fitting jeans.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you predict where it's going to, or is it just...
You just have to do it off your own feeling. But to that point, fashion is cyclical. So it comes around, to the long board short. That's where my head's at now, because I remember I was buying a lot of early 2000s. I was buying a lot of Abercrombie and Fitch from the States, and they're longer shorts. And then now I'm coming back around to that stuff. And
well, you see a lot of blokes wearing the knee knocker pants at the moment. Like there's a lot of
even when you go to Cotton On and all those more mass stuff, they're the longer shorts is back. And
what was cool when you were young?
I remember going to a funeral once. Right, this is a perfect example. It's cyclical, and we're all standing, and all of a sudden this old bloke walked in, and we couldn't take our eyes off him. He had the most darling brown pinstripe suit. I remember looking at it going, my God, and I went up to him as they're putting the coffin in the hearse, And I went up and just tapped him and I said, man, your suit, where'd you get it from? He said, I can't remember. I bought it in the 50s.
Cool. Yeah, mate. Well, look, you talk about things going around. Brad Parker, like I was at a wedding recently and they said, a lot of the time they said fashion, a black suit is only for a funeral, right? You don't wear an all black suit unless you're John Wick and you're patrolling the streets.
Or Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, or killing multiple people.
Yeah.
You don't wear it to anything else at a funeral. Brad Parker, he decided, I'm going to go on my own, and he wore all black at the wedding and proceeded to get shat on by everyone at the wedding. Everyone.
Fashion faux pas.
Seriously, yeah, Parks isn't known for it. Going back to some of the people that you've met and dealt with in America, because I remember I listened to the New Heights podcast, Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce, and Travis gave you a massive shout out on it for you gifting him velour tracksuits for a lot of his offensive line, right?
Yeah, so he bought those for his teammates.
Yeah, right.
Like they do a gift exchange is what they call it. And he had done something smaller like a few years back when I had my New York store. He did a thing where we made these velour tracksuits. And so anyway, I texted him. I was like, hey, you want to do these? You want to do those like sweatsuits again that you kind of did? He wanted to do it kind of exactly how we did it, a few years before. But this was like he wanted to order 38, So I asked him about it. He said, yeah, cool. And then I didn't hear back from him. So I was like, I'll just follow up one more time. It was 10 days before Christmas. So I said, hey, you want to do it? He's like, yeah, let's do it. I said, how many do you want to do? He's like, 38. He's like, is that all right? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I sent him the invoice. He paid really fast. And then, like I'm on the clock. Then I'm like, he wanted red velour tracksuits. And I go to the place to get the fabric and they're out of red. And I'm like, fuck,
Wow.
So you got to start from scratch. Like you're
yeah, it was cut. So,
yeah. How
long people working really late on
right
it.
up until Christmas?
Yeah, it was, and then we had to get it out on a certain date, so it shipped to Kansas City and arrived there. So you didn't miss like the window, and I was like, this is tight,
Yeah.
So I got them all the day we had to ship it. I picked them up really early in the morning. I went to my store, and I actually folded and bagged and tagged them all myself, and it took me like most of the day to do that, and then we got it out just on time. And it's kind
What's
of
he
Have you
like?
seen him out and about? The tracksuits?
I have, yeah. There's one guy, Donovan Smith. He rocks it. He came in the store wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What's Travis like? Because you've met Travis a few times, right? What's he like as a bloke?
Yeah, he's a real nice guy. I remember we were at the highlight room in Hollywood, and it was the night? It was the Players Tribune, like they do this thing. Anyway, I seen him and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put a shot on him. So I put a shoulder into him. He didn't know who it was, but he's like, oh, and then,
Right. Because was he with Taylor Swift when?
Not at that point, but then
it was
when I
the
did
tracksuit that got them together.
Yeah.
Right.
I was hoping one of the tracksuits would end up on Taylor because that would have gone,
That would have been good. Did you send an extra one?
I think he ordered some smaller sizes, so I was like, oh, maybe one of these is for Taylor. I don't know. I'm not going to ask any questions.
Bloody oath. Yeah. Because they seem like very different brothers, like Jason and Travis, like you and Joey, but like they seem completely polar opposite. Jason seems like he is to put it in Australian terms, he seems kind of more bogut. Like he'd wear thongs and a singlet with knee knocker boardies down at the beach.
I saw him at the Olympics. He was going to see the American female sevens. He must have, I don't know if his partner was involved in it. Anyway, I saw him coming from a distance. I was like, oh, geez, look at this big slob. And actually, as you got closer, I realised it was Jason Kelce.
Yeah. But when they shouted you out on the podcast, talk about like sale rises, because they have a lot of people listening to that New Heights podcast.
Yeah.
Did that go crazy as well?
That did go crazy. And the morning that we woke up, we had a lot of like messages from press trying to get like, your 2 cents and have a quote.
Yeah.
Like Daily Mail and whatnot. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Because I didn't want to say anything, like put it out in the press myself, because I just felt like it wasn't correct. He's buying gifts for it. If he wants to say something, I'm not, he said it, and I was like, this is awesome. It was amazing free press for us, and I think that's kind of what we've built our brand on, is that organic kind of thing. We don't really pay to do those things, and I think they're more meaningful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you like having a clothing brand? Because my mate used to run a pub in Melbourne when we were down there playing. And shout out to Robbie Kearns.
Here we go.
If Kearnsy's listening, the Kern dog, a former Melbourne Storm great. But he said the worst thing he ever had, the worst part about having a pub was you go through, and I was guilty for it, ring us to get us past the line, straight in, free entry. And the boys would always hit him up for drink cards, for free drinks. I would imagine having a clothing brand, the amount of, whether it be childhood mates or like so many people would hit you up for free stuff.
Yeah, there is that level of expectation that people want to get free stuff, but I try to not do that because I feel like people don't appreciate it as much.
Yeah.
And once there's times when it makes a lot of sense business wise that this person's going to wear it, and even them wearing it is very helpful in the sense that usually they're being paid to wear stuff, but they're wearing your stuff and shouting it out or even just being seen in it. So I don't like to always just give it away because then it just becomes like an endless thing. But yeah, you have to pick and choose, the right.
Do you shift much? Like in your own mind, do you think, okay, this is where I want to take it. Then all of a sudden, something happens and you'll react and sort of shift course?
In terms of like designs?
Yeah, designs and
I think, that's what I like about being in LA was I could come up with an idea, basically I could make 10 of them, put it in my store, and it could be in there within a week or two, and then you test it out, then you lean into it.
right. Yep.
That's what I like about that. So if you're making stuff overseas, you're on a timeline. You have minimums of like, you got to make 200 of them, and then you got to sell it to stores, and then so that becomes like puts you a year or so behind. Whereas like I'm just going to make something and release it. That's what was successful in the beginning. Right. It was like almost like instead of putting out an album, you're putting out singles. It's like, okay,
gotcha.
And then people are always coming back. Well, they'll get the next single.
Yeah, because it's really interesting. We go back to Adidas again. Yeah. Watching Nike and watching Adidas, whether it be their marketing or who's wearing the clothes, I don't know. But Nike went from being the fashion of the rebel, the sort of the outlier that came in, to now being, dad's shoes.
Yeah.
Where Adidas have had the ability to be nimble and agile and just move in different directions.
Yeah.
That must be hard to do.
For a big company, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
I think I always look at it this way. A big company moves really slow, but they have the money to do what they want. Mm-hmm. A small company can be nimble, but you don't always have the money to do, what the big companies can do.
And you can't afford that many mistakes.
Either. Yeah. So there's pros and cons of each, but I like the fact that you can be nimble and you can be a little bit faster.
Yep.
Because when you're working in a big corporate machine, it has to go through all these different, terminals in there, and
Have you had people, as you've started to get to success, have you had other brands, or have you had people come in and say, we want to go into business with you, want to partner, apart from collaborations?
I think I haven't really had it as much, but I am always on the lookout for the right partner that, could take things further, So we haven't really come across that yet, the right partner. But, we're on the lookout for that at all times to see if someone can join us that can, not only just if it's money, but also can add something beyond the money. It's like, okay, cool. They're good at this. I'm good at this. If combined, we can,
Now that you're back in Australia, because obviously in America you've dealt with a lot of big athletes, like we just said, Travis Kelce, James Harden, Jimmy Butler. Yeah, a lot of these ones they love their fashion. In the Australian rugby league space, are there any athletes in there that you look at and you go, they've got good fashion? Like you could work with.
I mean, Nathan Cleary, he's got good fashion.
Yeah.
A lot of those Penrith boys look smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Handsome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
Hip. Yeah, Nathan Cleary does have good. He's got good fashion.
Yeah, he's got good fashion. Kalen Ponga's good. Reece Walsh. These guys are kind of.
Yeah. You know who
guys that come to mind?
Angus Crichton.
Yeah.
Gus. He's got some good fashion over
As
there.
opposed to the ones who haven't, Matt Croker.
Yeah.
Dylan Lucas,
Tyron Wishart, Harry Grant.
Awful people who've just got no idea in fashion.
Yeah, no, they should never shop for themselves.
Red, maroon. Come on, guys, make a decision.
What do you reckon about Dad? Because Dad, and like Dad will get embarrassed me saying this, but he does consider himself a fashionista.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do undercut. You probably didn't 10 years ago, but the last, I would say, 5 years, you've turned into a bit of a fashionista.
Do you think so? Fashion plate?
100%. 100% you do. He goes shopping. He goes through me and Jack's wardrobe all the time looking for stuff he can take.
I actually, steal stuff out of their wardrobe.
How do you...
You're not raiding Gordon's closet?
No, definitely.
For Scotch and soda?
Yes,
He does.
I do. Peter McWhirter at Scotch and Soda have been going there. And that's where I got the bug. Because you walk in. I walked in Scotch and Soda, right?
Yeah.
And it just opened my eyes. Because there's stuff that I would never have worn.
Yeah.
Never take them off. And you go in and you try them on and you go, holy shit, I'm a new guy.
Yeah.
I look 25 again.
What do you rate it? Like, what he's wearing now?
What I'm wearing at the moment, I'm wearing tracksuit pants, mate.
But you got a collared shirt on. What would, like, if you...
I'm wearing Brandon Smith's hat. Like, I'm a real mishmash of ideas.
You are.
I like it, though. You got your own eclectic style, and it suits you, and, you're out by the beach, and, it's good.
I look forward to collaborating.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Hey, all right, let's move into just a brand in general. So going away a little bit of your career, I wanted to ask you, for people that are starting, their own brand, of the lessons that you've learned, what's the biggest lesson for starting a brand?
It's 100 times harder than you think it's going to be, because you see all the glitz and the glamour and the drops and sell out and all this for people, and it looks a lot easier than it is. So you really have to be passionate about it. It's like anything. It's like playing golf looks easy until you swing a club. It's like, real estate looks easy, but you have to grind away at that 7 days a week and to get, I'll just go sell a $20 million house and get a 4% commission. So I always say that it's like anything you do is going to be hard. You should really have a passion for it before you go into it, because it's going to be hard. And that's when you're going to lean on, that passion for it, to keep going and wake up in the morning. So, that's one thing that I would say. Just make sure it's something that aligns with what you want to do in life. And
many sleepless nights.
A lot,
Yeah,
for me and my partner.
Yes. At times you must, what do they say about pubs and bars? They never fail. You just run out of money. There must be times, in the trade where you're on the breadline.
Yeah, no, it is. And that's where you have to be really, in it, and be passionate about it. Because it's like, I could have given up, 10 years ago. I could have given up 5 years ago, but you just keep going. Yeah. So
what about like the culture of it? So when you employ people, like workers within a store or workers, behind the scenes, what do you look for with employing people?
Well, I like to have somebody that's not going to bring a lot of drama, and and has some attention to detail, and then they can actually come up with ideas for themselves, and rather than, it's not like I want them to present me with 100 ideas of like, hey, this is what you're doing wrong, you should do this. It's like, nah, like, handle that problem for me, or come up with a solution before you come and ask me. Like, present me with a solution, don't present me with a problem.
That's everything I'm not. So if I was sitting in the job interview at this point, I'd stand up, turn around, walk out.
Do you find you like, in a creative space, do you like having 100 different perspectives? Like, do you like...
No, I like just having my own.
Do you like but do you like having, I suppose, people from all different personalities? There are some businesses that like people who are very much like them, and they get along with it. You might necessarily employ someone that you don't get along with. Like Yes Man. A lot of people like that. But do you love having people who you might necessarily not agree with or be like, but they think so differently?
Is there a question here you're getting around to, Cooper?
But I think mostly my wife and I are basically... We see eye to eye on most things, but we'll have that kind of friction. And then, sometimes I do always listen to her, maybe not straight away, but she tends to be right a lot of the time. So listen to your wife.
Yours is always wrong. Mine is.
Dad,
your wife's wrong?
Okay, living in LA, living in the States. First, we'll talk generally. Someone said to me, "What's it like living in Sydney?" I said, "It's fantastic, laid back culture, beaches and whatnot." LA, what do you love about LA?
I just like how, I don't know. I think the chaos of it is one of the things that I think is brings out the best in people. Everyone goes there to make it. So you have a lot of people that are there to make it. So it becomes really competitive, becomes a little bit cutthroat. But yeah, I think in Australia, everything's kind of safe. Everything's comfortable. Everything's laid back. And LA's laid back, but it's a laid back chaos. Yeah. Which I think, I don't know, I think it was good to go into that and rather than stay in this and I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah. What do you find when you get off the plane and you come back to Australia for the first time for quite a while? What's the one thing that really strikes you?
It's slow.
Slow, yeah, right.
Yeah. Everyone drives slow. It's a little bit like the pace is a lot slower. But even though Sydney's considered it's bustling.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that you do notice that. It's kind of like Neo in the Matrix, where it's like, wow, everything's just like moving at a slower pace, and
right.
But it's kind of nice too in that sense, you know.
It's like that. It's that beach identity, right?
Yeah,
where everyone moves cruisy out.
So it was very, very strange. In Australia, had different states dealt with COVID at the time, and I'm not going to go into, people love to get into conspiracy and all that sort of stuff. I don't like, but to the point that we had certain. It was really funny. I would say a kilometre down the road, we couldn't go past. They were blocking bridges off, and far worse than Victoria. Some of the laws there were totally draconian. What about LA? Living in LA during COVID, how was that?
It was still like for us that was it was bad. It wasn't great, but then if you look at in comparison to other places, like you said, we had far more freedom, like I could hop on a plane and go to another state still. I could drive. Yeah, I could drive wherever I wanted to. And then everywhere had different rules. So Beverly Hills has their own is their own city. So they have their own health rules.
Wow.
So in LA County, they had a rule on the vaccinations that you couldn't go to this restaurant. Basically, in some places, crossing the street, you're in Beverly Hills. I can go to a restaurant over there. Over the other side of the street, I can't go.
Wow.
If you're vaccinated or not, like that was kind of the rules and whatnot. So,
and you guys lived in downtown, so let people know downtown was always sort of a bit of a rough and ready area. It was on the way to become gentrified.
Yeah.
COVID put an end to that. It's back to being fairly sketchy.
Yeah, there is a bit of that. I hope that it comes back because, even if you see across from the crypto arena, if you go there, those buildings that are all graffitied,
right.
like that,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, go back to you just spoke about the vaccinations because one of my mates was a big anti-vaxxer to the point where they nearly Nelson Asofa-Solomona they nearly didn't let Nelson play.
Really?
Yeah. I remember when
was he scared of needles?
No.
Girl.
Well, in hindsight, he was actually right because there's a lot of health problems with it. I wish I never had it now. But,
really? Thanks, Joe Rogan.
You said the same thing the other day.
No, I did not.
Yeah, you did, mate. Don't say
I did not, mate. I did not.
Well, there's a lot of health problems that have come out from it.
Such as what's my health problem?
Look at, mate, you've got tinea in your feet.
Yes, sure. It's okay, apart from that.
But because America's
gone younger.
You're anti-aging. And you've lost your hair as well, which is true.
Yeah, it's still there, baby.
Well, just let it go, I reckon. Because America's known for its conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
How hectic was that time with the whole vaccine and stuff? Because that's kind of where the conspiracy started, right?
Yeah. Living in America at that time, it's like you didn't know what was right and what was wrong. You just had to kind of go with your gut on what you felt was right. And then in hindsight's 2020, obviously, no pun intended on that. We look back and then we go, okay, who was right, who was wrong? But yeah, it doesn't really matter at this point, does it?
No, it doesn't.
You ever been to Area 51?
Not recently. No.
Have you tried?
No.
I've got a burning desire to go. Every time I go to Vegas, I want to get in a car and just try. Yeah. Just see what it's like.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I go for a walk. I'll walk for hours and I think, God, I hope I don't fall off the face of the earth because, as you know, it's flat.
Flat earth.
Yeah. Just finally in LA, the fires, what was that time like?
Yeah, that was interesting too because we were out of town at the time, and then to see it happen, and then okay, cool. There's one near where we live, okay, and then you're watching it develop, and then this, and then we got to go back home, and we're like, oh, well, what's it going to be like? What's the air's going to be terrible? And I think it was really bad in certain areas, like in obliterated Pacific Palisades, which is like, it's kind of like, I guess, the equivalent of like wealth-wise, like a Bellevue Hill or something. But the size of Manhattan, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, so I still haven't been out that way, but that was crazy. And then for us, we're just like, a lot of people got displaced from their homes at this time.
Yeah.
We were kind of wanting to spend more time in Australia at the time, so we kind of gave up our place because we were living in an apartment. So we're like, a lot of people are going to need a place right now. So like we're going to move later this year to do some stuff in Australia. So why don't we go now, and then someone can take the place. And
the culture in LA in situations like this, Australians by nature are socialists. So if, when we see the floods and things that happen, people sort of dig in, use it as an opportunity to come together as a community and help out. We saw it to an extent in New York City after 9/11. The city really come together. There was unity. Is LA that type of city?
I'd like to think it is. We definitely got involved in a few things on that. But yeah, I think it went a lot. Like, it needs sometimes a disaster that kind of pulls you together.
Of course.
As much as you don't want to have a disaster be the thing that pulls you together. But yeah, like you said, 9/11 is a perfect example. People came together at that point rather than being, against each other.
They said the last 2 weeks, everyone was nice in restaurants, and I would like to take a seat. 2 weeks later, it was back to normal again.
In LA?
No, in New York.
Oh, in New York, yeah.
Well, they reckon, because there were so many people looting houses, right, while everyone was fleeing.
Yeah, I think there were people doing that, but I think
there's always going to be the small sort of crew of people, right?
There's always rat bags.
There is. There's always dirtbags.
In this neighbourhood, there's some questionable dudes.
Yeah, there is. Clint, who lives up the road.
But I think also when you saw that, you saw like communities against that too. They saw people starting fires. They were doing something about it rather than just being like, just not even paying attention to it. So
Time for Lone Survivor, Kurt.
Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah.
All right, we always finish with a little game. So it's called Lone Survivor. When we do it with footy players, it can be the best player you've played against, and we go through one-on-one, and you pick your favourite of the two, and you end up, it's like would you rather. You end up at the end with one.
Okay.
For you, Matthew, what is the category?
It is fashion brands.
Okay.
Now, just trust me, I'm not fashion aficionado, and so I've picked some ones out that you'll go, oh God! But I just had to
Skechers.
fill the list. Yeah. What's the other one?
Which one?
Crocs.
Crocs.
No. Okay.
Crocs are coming back, mate.
Crocs or Skechers.
Coming back. I thought they were back.
They were back.
Yeah.
They actually are back.
Crocs or Skechers was stuff.
That's a tough one. I mean, I don't wear either, but Skechers has football boots now.
Well, there you go.
Do they?
Yeah.
Did you know they signed who's Harry Kane? He's their face of Skechers football.
Skechers.
And then the designer from Nike is designing the boot, so it's actually a really good boot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
You can buy them in Athlete's Foot, I think.
In Australia?
Yeah.
God. What did I say about homogenisation?
Yeah.
It's all happening.
That is bizarre. They work in cycles.
Here's two brands that really sit side by side: Skechers or Gucci.
Skechers.
Skechers or Chanel.
Chanel.
Chanel or Burberry.
Burberry.
Burberry or Armani.
Burberry.
Burberry or, is this a brand? Zara.
Burberry.
Because I like Zara. I go in and they've got to get some nice,
Not bad.
nice
Yeah.
t-shirts.
You're picking some weird ones. Keep going.
Burberry or Levi's.
Levi's.
There we go. One for the Canadians. Levi's or
San Francisco's brand too.
Oh, are they?
But yeah, they like to make a good tuxedo for the Canadians.
The old Canadian tuxedo.
But there's a few tariffs on those tuxes now.
So there should be. Yeah. Son of a bitches.
Kamala.
Okay, Levi's. Levi's or Nike?
Levi's.
Levi's or Puma?
Levi's.
Levi's or Lacoste?
Levi's.
Damn French. Levi's or Louis Vuitton?
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton or Ralph Lauren?
Ralph Lauren.
Ralph Lauren or, this final one, Adidas?
Ralph Lauren.
Oh, okay. Is that your favorite brand? He might not have put one in there that is.
The funny thing is, I like Ralph Lauren and I like Rick Owens.
Yeah,
and they're very polar opposite. But yeah, I find those are kind of my two.
Oh, so we named one of your favorites there.
Yeah.
Well, that's handy. Look, maybe you do know a thing about fashion.
I was just being self-deprecating. Of course I do. Look what I'm wearing.
Yeah, I know. You're
Wearing tracksuit pants.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Dan. Appreciate you coming over.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Bloody oath. Well, I'm sure everyone will see you now that you're based out of Sydney. I'm sure you'll be doing a lot with the rugby league and NRL.
By the way, where are the stores in LA, New York, in Sydney?
So we're not in New York anymore, but we have Beverly Center in Los Angeles. We have a store there. So if you're in town, come see us there. We may open a store in Sydney at some point. We're just
coming soon.
Yeah, we're just kind of sussing it out right now.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Australian Sydney siders, we know those pop-up stores. You should start with one of those because anything they do pop up, people line up around the corner. Remember In-N-Out Burger did a pop-up and people lined up for like
in King's Cross?
6 hours. Yeah.
Was that in King's Cross?
Yeah. And then because I was in Vegas, I saw In-N-Out Burger and I thought,
sometimes I wait 6 hours in the car to get it.
to get
it's like a 40 minutes. It's like, but my kids want it and then I'm like, it's going to take 40 minutes to 45.
I'm surprised it hasn't come to Australia yet, like properly.
Well, their model is it's not franchised. It's all owned by the company. And they want to keep the meat fresh. So what I heard is they keep it close to the suppliers so they don't have to freeze the meat. It's a big thing.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. I could be wrong on that, but that was what
when you go there to the Vegas
it's really good.
You have this, and let the people know, this enormous line, and you're going, this is going to take forever.
They're pretty, it's like clockwork though.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
What's your order there?
I just went very, very safe. I went cheeseburger, fries, and Coke. No sugar.
Yeah.
Coke, no sugar.
They don't have Coke, no sugar in America.
They
do
have Coke Zero?
It's very hard to find it. It's always Coke and Diet Coke everywhere I've gone, which is fine. Diet
Coke.
Nah,
Coke, no sugar?
Tastes different. It's
really?
Coke and Pepsi, it tastes different.
So I like Pepsi Max. I'm a Pepsi Max man.
I had Pepsi Max the other day. It was good.
Yeah,
KFC.
I love it. Pepsi Max. It's like when people
FLG.
get there. I was off the drink for about 75 days. Horrible. And someone said, do you want to have a taste of non-alcohol beer? I said, man, I'd rather drink Pepsi Max. It tastes better.
Yeah.
It's like you drink vodka or mouthwash. I drink mouthwash.
You know what's an underrated one?
Decaf coffee or coffee?
Yeah. Coffee. Please. Got to go the real thing.
Passiona's underrated. It's coming back.
Pasito,
Passiona, creaming soda. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Where have we gone here? Okay.
Passiona's good.
Passiona is good. I used to have it at school.
A lot of sugar though.
Yeah. Sugar's a myth.
Diabetes, COVID.
They created Area 51.
Thanks, Dan.